Germany, the land of beer, bratwurst, and, if you go back far enough, some seriously questionable life choices. Today we're diving into two fascinating periods in German history, the Weimar Republic and modern Germany. First, let's set the stage. Picture this. Germany, fresh off a humiliating defeat in World War I. The Kaiser is out, the monarchy is kaput, and the country's stuck with a hefty bill for starting a war nobody won. Enter the Weimar Republic, Germany's first attempt at democracy. Spoiler alert, it didn't go so well. On the other side, we have modern Germany, a global powerhouse and a beacon of stability. So, grab your thinking caps and your finest German beer, because we're about to dissect the past to understand the present. Before we dive into the nitty-gritty, let's get everyone up to speed with a crash course in Weimar history. Born from the ashes of World War I, the Weimar Republic, from 1918 to 1933, was a fragile experiment in democracy. It faced hyperinflation, political assassinations, and a rise in extremist parties. The Great Depression hit Germany hard, unemployment skyrocketed, and people were desperate for a solution. Enter stage right, a charismatic leader with a funny mustache and some very bad ideas. The Weimar Republic, after just 15 short years, breathed its last, paving the way for one of the darkest chapters in human history. But hey, at least they gave us Bauhaus architecture and some killer cabaret, right? Fast forward a few decades past World War II, and Germany found itself staring into the abyss once more. But this time, something was different. Instead of succumbing to the same demons, Germany rose from the ashes like a phoenix. Post-war Germany, with a little help from its friends and a whole lot of Marshall Plan money, rebuilt itself into the economic powerhouse we know today. It embraced democracy, fostered a culture of remembrance, and became a leading voice for peace and cooperation in Europe. But here's the rub. The ghosts of Weimar still linger. The rise of populism, economic uncertainty, and the ever-present threat of extremism serve as stark reminders that the past is never truly dead. So as we delve deeper into the parallels between Weimar Germany and the Germany of today, keep this in mind. History may not repeat itself, but it often rhymes. So, the Weimar Republic, Germany's grand experiment in democracy. Imagine a group of well-meaning but ultimately clueless politicians trying to build a house of cards in a hurricane. The Weimar Constitution on paper looked pretty good. It promised freedom of speech, equal rights for women, and a whole bunch of other progressive stuff. But in practice, things were a little different. The Weimar Republic was plagued by a fundamental problem. Nobody really liked it. The conservatives wanted the Kaiser back. The communists wanted a revolution. And the vast majority of people were just trying to survive amidst the economic and political chaos. To make matters worse, the Weimar political system was about as stable as a unicycle on a tightrope. With a dizzying array of political parties, forming a government was like trying to assemble a jigsaw puzzle while blindfolded and riding a roller coaster. Coalitions collapsed faster than you could say hyperinflation, and political violence became the norm. Now, let's meet some of the key players in this political tragicomedy, shall we? We've got right-wing nationalists, left-wing revolutionaries, and everyone in between. First up, we have Friedrich Ebert, the Weimar Republic's first president. Ebert, a social democrat, was basically the guy trying to hold the whole thing together with duct tape and a prayer. Then there's Paul von Hindenburg, the old general who became president in 1925. Hindenburg was a relic of the past, a symbol of a bygone era. He also had the unfortunate habit of appointing chancellors like someone picking names out of a hat, which didn't exactly lead to political stability. And of course, no discussion of Weimar Germany would be complete without mentioning Adolf Hitler and his merry band of Nazis. But hey, it wasn't all doom and gloom. There were also some genuinely interesting and progressive figures in Weimar politics, like Rosa Luxemburg and Gustav Stresemann. They managed to achieve some semblance of stability, albeit briefly. Let's talk about money, shall we? Or rather, the lack thereof. Because in Weimar Germany, inflation wasn't just a number on a spreadsheet, it was a way of life. Imagine going to the store to buy a loaf of bread, only to find out it costs 1 billion marks. That's Weimar hyperinflation for you folks. The reasons for this economic meltdown were complex, but let's just say that printing money like it was going out of style didn't help matters. The German mark became about as valuable as a used napkin, and people were literally using it as wallpaper. The economic chaos of hyperinflation had a profound impact on German society. People lost their life savings, the middle class was wiped out, and a sense of desperation and anger permeated every aspect of life. It was a time when absurdity reigned supreme, and the very concept of money seemed to be dissolving before people's eyes. As the 1920s wore on, the political and economic situation in Germany continued to deteriorate. The fragile center ground of Weimar politics was eroding, and the extremist parties on both the left and the right were gaining ground. Street violence became increasingly common, with paramilitary groups from across the political spectrum battling it out in the streets. Political assassinations were rampant, and a sense of fear and uncertainty gripped the nation. And then, in 1929, the Wall Street crash sent shockwaves across the globe, plunging Germany into the abyss. The Great Depression hit Germany hard, unemployment skyrocketed, and people were desperate for a solution, any solution, to their plight. Alright folks, let's snap back to the present, where Germany stands as a shining example of European unity and economic prowess. The Bundestag, Germany's parliament, is a far cry from the chaotic circus of the Weimar National Assembly. Germany's post-war constitution, with its emphasis on stability and consensus building, was practically engineered to avoid the pitfalls of its predecessor. But before we breathe a sigh of relief, let's remember that history has a knack for irony. The rise of the AfD, Germany's far-right party, has sent chills down the spines of anyone who paid attention in history class. The mainstreaming of anti-immigrant sentiment, the rise of populism across Europe, and the ever-present threat of economic instability all whisper echoes of Weimar's turbulent past. Ah, the German economy. The envy of Europe, the land of efficient manufacturing and fiscal responsibility. But before we crown Germany the undisputed champion of economic stability, let's take a trip down memory lane. Remember hyperinflation, that fun little period in Weimar history when you need a wheelbarrow full of cash to buy a loaf of bread? Yeah, good times. Modern Germany has understandably gone to great lengths to avoid a repeat performance. The 2008 financial crisis and the subsequent Eurozone crisis exposed the vulnerabilities of even the most seemingly robust economies. And let's not forget the social and political consequences of economic inequality, a growing issue even in prosperous Germany. Alright, enough about politics and economics. Let's talk about something a little more fun: culture. Weimar Germany was a cultural explosion, a time of radical experimentation and artistic innovation. Think Bauhaus architecture, expressionist cinema, and the birth of cabaret culture. Modern Germany, on the other hand, is often seen as more buttoned up, more focused on order and efficiency than wild artistic expression. But beneath the surface, a vibrant and diverse cultural scene thrives. From the techno temples of Berlin to the cutting-edge art galleries of Cologne, Germany remains a hotbed of creativity. The concept of Vergangenheitsbewältigung, or coming to terms with the past, is deeply ingrained in German society. And finally, we arrive at the elephant in the room, the historical baggage that Germany has been lugging around for decades, its Nazi past. Weimar Germany, for all its flaws, was the breeding ground for one of the most horrific regimes in human history. Modern Germany, however, has spent the decades since World War II grappling with the legacy of its past, attempting to atone for the sins of its fathers. Germany has gone further than perhaps any other nation in confronting its history. From Holocaust education in schools to the countless memorials and museums dedicated to remembering the victims of Nazi persecution, Germany has made it clear that it will not shy away from its past. The Weimar Republic serves as a cautionary tale about the fragility of democracy, the dangers of extremism, and the importance of confronting historical injustices. And modern Germany, for all its complexities and contradictions, stands as a testament to the possibility of redemption, of learning from the mistakes of the past and striving to create a better future. Ah, the Weimar Republic, a time of political turmoil, economic uncertainty, and artistic expression. The golden 20s until the gold ran out. Berlin in the 20s, jazz clubs, avant-garde theater, and intellectual salons. Artists flocked to Berlin, drawn by its creative energy. From Brecht's plays to the Bauhaus movement, Weimar culture pushed boundaries. A glorious, chaotic, and short-lived moment in history. Not all champagne and Charleston dancing. Weimar culture reflected the anxieties and uncertainties of the time. Fast forward to the present, and Germany's cultural landscape looks, well, a little different. Gone are the smoky cabarets and avant-garde theaters, replaced by sleek art galleries and minimalist nightclubs. Now, before you accuse me of being a cultural snob, let me clarify. There's nothing inherently wrong with Justin Bieber. He's a talented guy, in his own way. But his music, let's just say it's not exactly the kind of groundbreaking, soul-stirring art that defined the Weimar era. But that's not to say that modern Germany is a cultural wasteland. Far from it. Germany remains a major center for the arts, with world-renowned museums, theaters, and opera houses. Section 3. From Angst to Irony. The shifting sands of the German soul. Speaking of irony, let's talk about the German soul, shall we? In the Weimar era, angst was in art, literature, and philosophy. Think Kafka, Schopenhauer, and Expressionism. But something shifted. Germans developed a sense of irony, evident in humor and fashion. Irony can be healthy, but too much leads to detachment and cynicism. Section 4. The Volk on the Move. Immigration, integration, and identity crisis. No discussion of modern Germany would be complete without addressing immigration. Germany has experienced a significant influx of immigrants, sparking hope and anxiety. Post-WFU, Germany recruited Gastarbeiter from Southern Europe and Turkey. Many stayed, creating a diverse, multicultural society. Recently, Germany welcomed refugees from the Middle East and Africa. This tested Germany's integration capacity and sparked identity debates. The far-right AfD party exploited immigration anxieties. Germany must integrate newcomers while preserving its values. Humor as a coping mechanism, then and now. How do you reconcile the Germany of the Weimar era with the Germany of today? Germans have used humor as a coping mechanism throughout their history. In the Weimar era, political satire flourished. Artists like Kurt Tucholsky and Erich Kästner used wit and irony to skewer the establishment. Today, German humor is more self-deprecating, with stand-up comedy gaining popularity. Laughter is a universal language, a way of connecting and finding common ground. Alright, history buffs, buckle up, because we're about to embark on a whirlwind tour of key events that shaped both the Weimar Republic and modern Germany. Picture this: 1923. Hyperinflation is running rampant, and a disgruntled Austrian art school dropout stages a coup in a beer hall. Yes, you heard that right, a beer hall. The beer hall putsch was a spectacular failure, but boosted Hitler's name recognition. Fast forward a few years, and Hitler and his Nazi party are swept into power through democratic elections. And then, well, things got really bad, really fast. World War II, the Holocaust, the utter devastation of Germany. It's a chapter of history that still casts a long shadow over the nation. But let's not dwell on the darkness, because amidst the rubble of defeat, a divided Germany began to rebuild. In the West, with a little help from their capitalist friends, they experienced the Wirtschaftswunder, or economic miracle, going from bombed-out ruins to economic powerhouse in a few short decades. Meanwhile, in the East, under the watchful eye of the Soviets, they got, well, communism. Let's just say the economic miracle skipped over East Germany like a bad Tinder date. They did, however, excel at building walls, particularly that one in Berlin, which became the ultimate symbol of a divided nation, a concrete curtain separating families, ideologies, and even brands of jeans. But walls, like bad relationships, are rarely built to last. In 1989, the Berlin Wall crumbled along with the rest of the Iron Curtain, and a wave of euphoria swept across Germany, and indeed the world. Reunification after decades of forced separation seemed like a fairy tale ending, a chance for Germany to finally heal the wounds of the past. But as with any fairy tale, the reality was a bit more complicated. The Legacy of Reunification. Reunification was like a friend with emotional baggage and a penchant for borrowing money. Integrating East and West Germany was a Herculean task. Economic disparities were stark. Former East Germans struggled in a capitalist system. West Germans resented the costs of reunification. Psychological scars and mistrust lingered. What could possibly go wrong? Lessons, hopefully, learned. So, what have we learned from this whirlwind tour of German history? Well, for starters, that history has a wicked sense of humor, often laughing in the face of our best laid plans. We've also learned that democracy is a fragile thing, that economic instability can have devastating consequences, and that walls, both literal and metaphorical, are rarely the answer. But perhaps the most important lesson is that the past is never truly past. The ghosts of Weimar still linger, not just in Germany, but across the globe, a reminder of the dangers of extremism, the importance of social cohesion, and the need for constant vigilance in defense of democratic values. Modern Germany, for all its flaws and complexities, stands as a testament to the possibility of learning from the mistakes of the past, of rebuilding from the ashes of destruction, and of forging a new path forward. Whether they can outrun the ghosts of history, however, remains to be seen. From ruins to reinvention, a legacy of contradictions. We've explored Germany's tumultuous history, from the Weimar Republic to modern Berlin. Uncovering political, economic, and cultural parallels, we see both echoes and contrasts. The Weimar Republic shows democracy's fragility and the power of fear. It's a cautionary tale of political experiments gone wrong. Modern Germany presents stability and historical reckoning, a nation confronting its past, leading in peace and cooperation. Yet beneath success lies a complex, contradictory reality. The more things change, a final dose of sarcasm for good measure. So, what's the takeaway from all of this? Germany has managed to build a more stable, prosperous, and arguably even boringly normal society. History may not repeat itself verbatim, but it does have a knack for rhyming. Remember the ghosts of Weimar. Progress is not inevitable, and democracy is fragile. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm off to brush up on my bunker building skills.